Wonderful. Well, welcome everyone to our Capacity Catalyst series here at COG Collaborative. For those of you that are new here, this is a monthly webinar series where we get guest speakers who can really help leverage your own organization, whether you're a nonprofit, a community serving agency, but really for that internal support. We know we do a lot of great external work all the time, but how are we making sure that that is getting messaged correctly? And we're really utilizing the resources that are available to us to leverage our resources, leverage our services and programs for optimal kind of, who knows about us and making sure we're getting the right people attracted to our work. So we're really excited to have Ronald Pruitt with us today. He is the founder and owner of For a Good Cause, and I'm going to pop it over to him so we can really dive into donation and fundraising and all that good stuff that really drives our work. So we'll go ahead and pass it to Ronald. But thank you all for being here today.
Caitlin, thank you. Uh, Thanks for having me. Really excited to participate in the Catalyst series and really appreciate everybody tuning in, everybody who registered. So really appreciate you being here. We're going to talk today about really optimizing your donation page, how we can get more conversions, more donations, and more larger donations through your donation page. Go too far there. I'm Ronald Pruitt. I'm the president and founder of For a Good Cause. Uh, Everything that I go over today is really going to be leveraging the over 25 years that I've been helping nonprofits in many different capacities as a consultant, web designer, now as a CEO of a software platform. It's going to be a combination of that experience, and I'll be sharing a lot of kind of current research and statistics with what's working on donation pages. So hopefully we're going to learn a lot together about how we can raise more money online. So first thing we'll do is we're going to run through kind of the good and bad of donation pages. We'll talk about how to optimize yours. I'll be kind of working through a checklist that I've developed over many, many years and kind of criteria of a good donation page. You will be able to leave with that checklist to kind of give yourself a grade. So you'll be able to download that PDF as we get towards the end, and hopefully we'll have some time for Q&A as well. All right, so we're going to first look at the challenge that nonprofits face with their online giving, with their donation pages. So we're going to start with, it's going to pose a question to everybody, and I would love for you to, put some answers in the chat. So let's think about a scenario: 100 potential donors visit a nonprofit's, main everyday donation page. You might put your own um, nonprofit into that scenario. Uh, Out of those 100 people, what percentage do you think will actually complete the donation? So they've made their way to the donation page. What percentage out of 100 do you think they will actually complete it? Put those answers in the chat. Caitlin, are we getting anything
We
yet on
got
some numbers here?
we've got 10% and 2%.
2%. Woof. That's rough. Um, Anybody else? Anybody thinking a little higher? Anybody?
20,
Anybody?
15,
Okay.
30.
Okay. We're getting a full range, but I think people are kind of on the right track because we're getting some low numbers. So let's look at what the research is actually telling us. The answer for a donor on a desktop computer, it's 11%. If they're on a mobile device, it's 8%. Now, this comes from the 2025 M plus R benchmark study. It's at mrbenchmarks.com. It's a study that we track and kind of benchmark, uh, you know, ourselves against and our clients against to kind of see how they're doing with things. But gosh, think about these numbers. They're really low. I mean, you're talking about 89 to 92 donors out of 100, even when they have clicked somewhere that they are semi-curious about donating, they're going to walk away. They're going to abandon that gift. So that's a little dire. It's a little worrisome, but I'm going to argue that there is a ton of opportunity. If you are in that range, if you are around that 11%, that 8%, there is a huge amount of opportunity for you. That if you come out of this presentation and you take some of the things that I'm going to talk about and you implement one or two or three of those, then you have an opportunity to start to tick up your conversion percentage to get more donors to actually complete that donation. Just to give you a sense of the revenue opportunities here, let's actually go to a little AI tool that I built so we can see some numbers. So let's take that test case that maybe you got 100 visitors to your donation page during the month. You're sitting at that typical conversion rate of 11%. Maybe the average donation size when you do get a donation online, it's around $100. And let's say you are going to push your conversion rate up 5% to 16, from 11 to 16%. Let's calculate the impact of that. And that means you're going to earn an extra $500 a month. That is not chump change. For a lot of small nonprofits, that's real money. And what if you're actually getting a lot of traffic to your donation page, maybe 1,000 visitors per month, and you want to take it again, that small uptick from 11% to 16% conversion rate? We calculate the impact there. You're making an extra $5,000 a month. There is money to be had, to be won back from the lost revenue that you guys might be seeing from donors abandoning their donations and not completing that gift. I know of donation pages that are getting conversion rates above 50%. If we go back to the original 100 visitors here, let's say you can go from this 11% up to a 50% conversion rate. Even with that small amount of visits, you're earning an extra $3,900 for the month. So even tiny, small improvements can earn your nonprofit additional revenue. And we're going to talk about kind of how you can get there.
And I've popped the link to the AI tool in the chat for you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, feel free to play with that and put some numbers in. Hopefully, you know what your conversion percentage is. If not, that's a problem. And it's something that's not hard to calculate. You're basically the number of visitors, unique visitors to your page, and how many out of that actually completed a gift. That's your percentage. That's your conversion rate. And the higher it is, obviously, the more money that you're going to raise. So let's talk about, first, we need to understand why that conversion percentage can be so low. Why do donors abandon a gift? What impediments are we putting in front of our donors to make them walk away? It really comes down to four things: confusion, friction, distraction, and fear. Confusion is, well, I'm not sure if I should give to this nonprofit. They're not selling me on why I should give. I'm not sure that I really know the impact that my gift is going to make. Maybe it's confusing in terms of how I actually make a donation. Friction is there's just too many steps. It's too hard, too many fields to fill out. We're putting roadblocks between us and the donor. Distraction is I get on that donation page, but there's so many links on that page that I can just go anywhere else and I get distracted and I'm just going to abandon that gift. Maybe I'll come back and do it later. Maybe I won't. Fear is just a lack of trust for the page, the site, or really the nonprofit. Do they trust in you're going to take care of their money? You're going to keep their information private, that the site is secure? A lot of things that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how to alleviate all these things. Before we do that, I want to show some kind of oops examples of these four things. And I'm not, trying to call any nonprofit out. Every donation page that I show, even ones that I'm using as examples of, showing good practices, they can be improved as well. Every single page has issues and can be improved. Over the years, I've just come across just a few things, a couple of examples here that kind of show things that you want to avoid. So we're going to start by jumping into a nonprofit called Joseph Sam's School. Now, good things here is they have a donate button on their main nav. That's great. They have a little make a donation here in the homepage spotlight. That's great. So I'm going to click that. We're going to go into a page that's going to lead me into making a gift. And I've got this donate online button here, which I'm going to follow. Now, I can already tell I might be having some confusion when I get there because they are actually having to write a 1, 2, 3, 4 process for how to give. If you're having to do that on your site, you probably or are going to have some confusion for donors. So let's click this. This takes me to a form that I know is provided by their processor, Authorize.net, which I love Authorize.net. It's a great company. Uh, they do great with processing transactions. What they don't do great is helping you build a form. So things that I've lost here that can cause confusion is it's perfectly fine to link to a page that some provider gives you, but what you have to carry forward with you is your brand and your message and your, who you are. You can't lose who you are and why donors should give when you get to the donation page. Because when I get here, I'm a little confused as to who Authorize.net is. How did I get here? Where did the nonprofit go? Am I still giving to the nonprofit? Which brings in fear. There might be a little bit of fear here. Who is Authors.net? Can I trust them? I don't see any security logos on here. I don't know that this site is secure. This page certainly brings up a little anxiety, a little confusion, and a little fear. Just generally, the form is very 1990s. They have kind of an old school 1990s CAPTCHA. I know the technology that's behind this and when it was built, and it was built in the 90s. So confusion and fear is what I see here. Let's tab over to another nonprofit that I've actually used this example for many years. This is the Allen Hancock College. And the thing that hits me here is some friction because when I hit this page, I do not know where I can click to make a donation. It is just not clear. There is no button that says donate, give, donate now. I just don't see it. And most donors are not going to see it. Now, I work with nonprofits for a long time, and I know colleges typically hide their link under something called foundation, but donors are not going to know that. So this is friction for me. If I can't get to the page, I can't make a gift. Now, if I click foundation, okay, I did find it. I can click through to the donation form. This page is a great example of the last kind of problem area that I see all the time, and that is distraction. If you look here surrounding this donation form, I've got all these links up top. I've got all these links in the subbar. I've got all these links in the sidebar. I've got all these links in the footer. I ran a little program on this and there was 279 links off this page. Those are 279 off ramps for me to get distracted by and leave this. There's even a link here called How to Give. I should know how to give. I found this page. So don't mean to call these nonprofits out, but every page can be improved. And these are just really good examples of the four things that typically affect a nonprofit and why your donors are deciding to move on from a donation. Now, let's pivot to the good side. Now, I'm going to frame this conversation based on this checklist that I have built that you're going to get to take with you. And it's all about traits of a really good or optimized donation page. There's 13 or 14 categories that we're going to go through. Um, if you're meeting the qualifications that you'll find under these categories on that checklist, then you're probably doing the right things. Let's start with the first trait, and that's that, as we just saw, your page has to be findable. No matter how great your donation page is, if I can't find it, if I can't get there, then you're not going to get donations. So what you need is up in the top right, uh, typically, if not separated from the main nav, but at least made more prominent, like in this case from the Humane Society in Memphis, they've got a little red background around that donate button. Something that's prominent. It should be available on every page. It should be a one-click access into the donation page to make a gift. I also like doing a homepage spotlight. I like doing really lots of donate buttons across the site. You know, if you're talking about programs and you're talking about impact, you can add a donate button at the end of a blog post about that. You want multiple places and you want it to be available on every page. I like that the Humane Society also has a section on their site called Ways to Donate. You might name that Support Us or something of that nature. The big bold button is meant to be a one-click access into giving. The section Support Us or something like that is meant to go into more detail about why you should give and all the ways that you can give. You'll see on all the slides that I show going forward, I'm going to show some stats. A lot of them are from a research company that's in the nonprofit industry called Next After, and they do a lot of A/B testing and things like that. So they did one experiment and found, hey, when we enabled a big bold button up there, it increased conversions by 190%. Again, there are opportunities for you to increase your conversion percentage here. Once I get to the page, it's got to be branded. That means I want to see your logo, your images, your color scheme, your messaging. As in our kind of oops example, when I went to that checkout form, that first one, where did the nonprofit go? You know, they're not just when they click on donate, they're not 100% convinced to give. They need the reinforcement and they need to know to have trust in what they're doing. They need to see you in the checkout process. I know this is a page from CARE. It's got their logo, their color scheme. This is an image that's very typical of what they use. They've got their messaging. I know that's going to give me more trust in that donation process. And yeah, that is going to give you 27% increase in completion rate. We talked about the distractions, so your page has to be isolated. That means strip away the top header, the sidebar, the footer, all the navigation. You want to focus the donor on making the gift. Be like Amazon. When you are shopping on Amazon and you check out, they strip away the millions of product links and they focus you just on putting in your card, putting in your address, and completing your order. That's what you want on your donation page. Another experiment there. Just removing the main navigation bar increased the donation page conversion rates by 195%. You got to be mobile friendly. On our platform for a good cause, we see 60% of the traffic to our donation pages are from a mobile device. Just generally on the internet, most traffic is mobile. About 55% is from mobile devices. So everything really is mobile now. They're opening your emails on mobile to click give and come to the donation page. So you have to make sure that you've tested your page on mobile, that it's readable and that it's user friendly. test it. Make sure there's no friction that you are seeing as someone goes through a mobile donation process. So big buttons that people can tap to decide how much they want to give. Little things like that make giving on mobile much easier. You have to be trustworthy. It's kind of two pieces to this. One is the security piece. So you want to have things on the page that let the donor know that it's perfectly fine. They can trust this site. That could be a trust logo. That could be an explicit statement that the donation is secure. It might be a little locked padlock right where they put in their card information. Little things like this can bump up your conversions. Again, another experiment here, adding just simple language like your gift is safe, increased donations 42%. A little bit of this relates back to the branding and having your nonprofit represented very well on the page that they go, well, I know this nonprofit, I trust them. I'm not somewhere where I don't see any mention of the nonprofit. I would lose a little bit of trust in that. So reinforce that the donation is safe and that they're doing business directly with you. You have to be compelling. You never want to send your donor to just a blank form that doesn't have some sort of donation appeal on there. It doesn't have some type of language that explains to them how their money will be used, what the impact will be, why it's important that they give, pairing that with a nice image that really gives an emotional connection. Again, they are not convinced just because they landed on this page. They need to be convinced to actually go forward and finish off the donation. This group, Anti-Slavery, I love their website. I love kind of how they tell their story. So, when you get into the donation process, they're telling you, hey, this money is going to go to provide essential resources, legal assistance, and rehabilitation projects. They're telling me that my donation is life-changing, and they got this nice photo here that reinforces all that. According to Fidelity, 65% of donors are going to give more when they see that compelling message. If you want to make that message even more compelling, then add a little urgency to it. Like in this example here, this is a screenshot from Charity Water, and they're trying to fund 22 more clean water projects by June 30th. So there's urgency language in their appeal on this donation form. This can lead to more donations. Just adding in language like act now, only hours left, or really anything that demonstrates that a donation is needed now because the problem is so big that, donations are needed today because we need to get to work solving this problem. Not that donations are needed in a month or 6 months, they're needed now. And if you can work in some urgency, you're going to get more conversions off that because there's going to be more of a need. I'm going to be more compelled to make that donation. One great way that you can add urgency and then put that message on your donation page is to have a matching donor. A lot of times we'll see nonprofits that will have a special campaign, maybe end of the year. Maybe they're doing like a special campaign for monthly donations or something like that. They've gone out and got a matching donor. Put that right on the donation page. Put it in the header, 2 times match. We saw that on the previous slide there with CARE. 2 times match. Hey, in the next 48 hours, your donation will be doubled by a generous sponsor. That's the kind of thing that's going to compel people to convert, compel them to complete that donation. You want your donation form to be concise. So that means fewer fields, that means fewer steps. So you never want your donation form to turn into a survey. There might be lots of information you would love to have from your donor, like how you heard about us or what prompted you to give. A lot of that stuff you can get later through surveys. Your goal right now is to get them to give. You get their money and you get their information, and you can then market to them in many different ways. So go through your donation form. Are you asking questions that you don't really need to collect the funds? There are certain things that you need. You need to know how much they want to give and who they are and their payment method and all that. But if there's something that you don't need to ask for, don't. Another experiment here. Taking a multi-step process and going to a single page form, increase conversions 139% for one nonprofit. Again, opportunities here. The form also, in addition to being concise, it needs to be clear. And what I mean by that is when you look at it, you need to know exactly what you're supposed to input and where you're supposed to input it. And it should be logically grouped together. It should have a modern layout. Things like, oh, first name and last name are on the same row. Address one, address two are on the same row. The contact information is grouped together. The information about the gift is grouped together. The payment information is grouped together. A very modern layout. I see a lot of donation forms where there is no blocking, there's no white space. It's just give me all the fields and I'm going to run them vertically down the page. And when your eyes go to that, it's not clear. And you can get a little bit of that confusion and you feel a little bit overwhelmed. You get a little bit of that friction that we talked about. So when you can logically group things, make it easy to understand how you're going to input. Clear can also mean that you have logically shown which fields are optional, which I recommend that you display what is optional. Don't display what is required. Don't put the little red asterisk on every required field. If if there's more required fields than optional, you're going to overwhelm the donor. They're going to look at that as that's a lot to fill in. But if you present instead what's optional, which you can put a little kind of gray text in the box to let them know that, they'll feel less overwhelmed. When you get your checklist, you're going to see that maximizing that trait, it has the most kind of things under it. What I mean by maximizing is your page should not only be trying to help you convert donors, making it easy to give and compelling to give, but it should also be helping you get larger donations. And there's some ways to do that. It could be anything from having suggested giving levels for both a recurring donation and one time. Donors like to have their hand held. They like to be told what a typical gift is for your organization. So having an array, something like 5 choices plus an other, that's perfectly reasonable. Research has shown like 4 to 5 work really well. Having one set as a default, you will find you will typically have an average donation size just slightly above that default. You can decrease your conversions a little bit by making the sizes larger, but you will then get larger donations. So it's a little bit of a balance in terms of what you provide there. But donors want suggested giving levels. As you can see in this experiment, and when they see impact statements, they convert at 207% higher. This is what I mean by that. Each level has a statement that you are presenting to a donor that says, this is the impact you can make at this level. It doesn't mean that's what you're going to spend the money on, but you're letting them know this is the impact they can make. When they know about impact, as we saw on previous slide, the compelling trait, when they understand the impact that they're going to make, they're more likely to give, they're more likely to give at higher amounts. Maximizing means having a checkbox to ask donors to help you offset processing fees. I know there was a question that came through the registration about best practices with that field. And what I would recommend to you is make sure that it is a reasonable percentage. Make sure around 4%. 4% is what we use on our platform. Something that it's around that credit card rate. 4% typically covers everything. Make sure it's not unreasonable. There are some sites now that are trying to get 15, 20, 22% out of donors, which if donors see that, they are very turned off by that. The second thing that you want, another best practice with that is make sure that the money that comes from that add-on donation goes to your nonprofit and not the platform. A lot of platforms will tell you, don't worry about that 15% that we're getting out of your donor because you'll get 100% of the donation. They're not telling you that if that money went to you, you could come out above 100% from the donor's original intention. So make sure that money's coming to you and make sure it's a reasonable percentage. And we like seeing it up with the amounts so that you can kind of configure that whole gift all in one section. Other things that maximize having different payment methods that donors are used to. That's something that could be big in kind of getting larger donations because it's just so easy for me to pull that off my Apple Pay, my Google Pay, and things of that nature. So you'll see a lot of things listed under the maximizing tab in that checklist. Your page has got to be helpful. Donors will make mistakes. It happens all the time. No matter how easy the form is, no matter how well laid out it is, how well it looks, how readable it is, donors will make mistakes, and your page has to account for that. That means that when they submit, do you show them exactly where they made a mistake? Do you summarize how they made a mistake? Do you explain to them how to fix it? One of the biggest things I see is a lot of times donations will get rejected because the donor entered the wrong street address or zip code for their card. Are you displaying an exact message from the processor that explains that exact thing and tells them, hey, you entered the wrong zip code, please try again, and how to do that? If you are, you're going to get more conversions because that page is holding their hand and getting them to the finish line. If not, they're probably going to abandon that gift. One thing that you can do as a backup is somewhere on that page, have some contact information that will go to a dedicated person in your nonprofit that can pick up the phone or answer an email if people are having trouble making a gift. If you don't, as in this study from Alexander Jarvis, 18% of this is in the e-commerce world, but 18% will drop out of that checkout process. Once you've made your gift, your page has to be thankful. So that means an automatic email receipt that comes out. That's got to come from a real person. It's got to be a real email address that I can reply to, make it come from you guys, not from, the processor or something like that. You want to address the donor by name. You want to say thank you. You want to include how the gift is going to be used. You want to include some contact information if they have questions. You want it to be signed from a real person. You want to have all the details of the gift, and get that. That's got to come out automatically and immediately. And then also, after they give on that screen that they see after they give, you want to customize thank you there as well. You know, immediately you want them to feel good about their gift. I would argue if you want to go even further, some point within 48 hours, send something else out. Whether you automate that or not, send a personal thank you on email, a phone call, postcard, something. If you do that, according to GuideStar, that donor's 4 times more likely to give again. Also on that confirmation screen, you want to give donors an opportunity to amplify the gift, to share that they gave on social media, to share your website. This is something that motivates donors to give. 41% of people report that they are motivated to give when they see giving shared on social media. We give when our friends give. So let them put your organization in their social feeds. This should not be on the main form side. You don't want to distract them with this, but on the confirmation screen or in the thank you email is a great place to encourage this. Now, last thing on the traits. This is a little bonus here. You know, we're looking at converting donations, but we're not just looking at, hey, I want to get a one-off transaction. We want things that are going to last, that are going to help you raise more money over time. So I would definitely encourage everyone here to set up their donation page in a way that encourages a monthly donation. It's so important for you. Monthly donors give 2.5 times more than one-time givers. You have retention rates upwards of 90%. A recurring donor typically gives for 8 years to your organization. That is a lot of revenue that can come to you over time. So I say default to monthly, put a monthly appeal up in that compelling message to actually call out, hey, a monthly gift can go further for us. Please consider that. You can add things like a pop-up at the checkout process to say, hey, one-time giver, would you convert over to monthly? Take a look at your page and see if it's really emphasizing a monthly donation. Putting that choice first on the form, which it should be anywhere. That's part of being clear, is asking for the frequency before you ask for the amount. But are you emphasizing that, and can you be emphasizing that more? All right, let's make a quick kind of dummy donation. I built a little donation page. There we go. I built a little donation page that I hope covers a lot of these traits. This is with a fake organization, the Bruce Wayne Bat Sanctuary. I use this from time to time as examples. And this would be a good example of an everyday kind of main donation page. And so let's kind of look at some traits here. We'll assume that it's findable because I found that. It's definitely branded. I've got the logo of this of the Bruce Wayne Bat Sanctuary there. I've got my messaging and images and my Batman theme color scheme here. Is it isolated? Yeah, there's no sidebar or big navigation there. Is it mobile friendly? Sure. Works on all devices there. Trustworthy. I've got a security logo. I've got a little locked padlock right where I'm putting in my information there. It's compelling because I have my messaging that, hey, this is going to provide a safe haven, conservation, educate communities about the importance of protecting these misunderstood creatures. I've got some urgency on here because I'm pretending this is a match. For the next 48 hours, every dollar will be matched by Bruce Wayne up to 100K. If everybody could get Bruce Wayne as a matching donor, we'd all be doing pretty good. It's clear because everything is blocked in sections. Your payment, your information, your gift, it's all blocked together. If I make a mistake, it's going to let me know what I missed and exactly where to put that in. So it's helpful. I'm going to make a little gift here. And I do have I'm going to check the roundup, offset the processing fees there. I got I'm emphasizing monthly because not only am I defaulting to it, but I have a little pop-up that will convince me to go to monthly. As I complete my gift, at this point, an email gets sent out to me. I get a customized thank you here. So it is being thankful for me. I do have an opportunity to share out on social media. So I do have an opportunity to amplify that gift. So simple process is what you want. One step with your brand, a compelling message, and easy form. And I think you'll find that you'll be able to tick up your conversion percentages a little more. Now, in the time that we've got left, uh, 3 nonprofits in Cobb decided that they were brave enough for me to do a live review of their website or their donation pages, and I want to thank you for that. It takes a little bravery to kind of do something live and have me kind of take a look and see what you're doing and make suggestions for improvements. And as I said, every single page, every donation process always needs improvement. So I appreciate you helping us do that. We're going to be looking at the Austell Youth Innovation Center, another group called With Our Neighbors, and we'll be looking at the Cobb NAACP. So, and again, appreciate you guys doing that. So let's see here. We're going to start with the Austell Youth Innovation Center. Great nonprofit, doing some great work in Cobb. I kind of did look through the site here, got some great STEAM opportunities for people there in Austell to learn. We need more young students going into STEAM, so that's fabulous what you guys are doing. So let's kind of take a look at this. So the first thing I'm always looking for is how findable a page is. And I will admit I struggled with this one. I scrolled up and down a few times. I could not find exactly where that I could click to give. I finally found it here. It's a small button buried inside, kind of inside this ad for the Steam Camp. So it's a little bit hidden there. And I can tell you that if you think about Google and how you search for something, let's say you guys talked to somebody and I Googled the Austell Youth Innovation Center and maybe your history, I might go directly to this page. I might read about you guys. I might click over to programs. I'll say, oh, look at this. They've got awesome after school programs, Saturday camps, family fun days. Well, this looks like a great nonprofit. This is there looks like they're doing good stuff. They're probably worthy of my donation. From here, deep inside the site, I don't have a direct way that I can give. So I certainly recommend take this real estate that you have in the top right. I would actually take these social icons, take them off here, put them down in the footer, and put a big bold donate button up here in the top right. That will lead me into giving. So to make this a little more findable, let's actually click and go to the donation page itself. So we've got a little bit of branding on here. I assume this is maybe your logo or maybe a program logo. You do have a little bit of competition in the brand area because the platform has its name at the top here. So what brand am I supposed to kind of be focusing on here if I'm the donor? Am I really focused on the platform here? I certainly would have to, since their brand is top and a little more prominent, I certainly am going to have trust for that. So you get a little bit of the trust issues there that might be going on. This page does look to be isolated. That's good. There's not a lot of distractions here, so I can kind of pile forward with my gift. It is mobile friendly. I did check that. That's great. Back to the trust issue. Not really anything that tells me that this is secure. Um, the only thing I really have about the nonprofit is the name and the location, the phone number. So it's kind of lacking a little bit in the trust categories. As far as compelling message, we've kind of lost all of that. So all the great information that was maybe on the program pages, for example, we don't have that here. So I've kind of lost that reinforcement of why I should give. I want to hear about the impact I can make and if I give, what's going to happen to those programs? Are we going to be able to serve more kids or that type of thing? So I've lost all that. So that hurts, my trust and my feeling to be compelled to actually make the gift. Um, the concise and clear, the form itself, I struggled with. I kind of struggled with this form because it is a multi-step process here. I was not really able sure how to get back and forth. So, plus on this first page, there's no real recurring monthly option that I might want. So when I look at this, I see this is probably a one-time gift. If I click 25, I get to the next screen. It's not intuitive how to continue. There's no continue button, there's no next, there's no back. If I wanted to change my amount, I would normally think I could click up in gift amount, but I can't click there. It took me a while. I just figured out, oh, I had to click the designation, which didn't make a lot of sense. There is a button to set recurring, but I don't know if donors will know what that means. Um, and then when you give, I'm put into a process where it seems like do I have to have a Facebook account to give? So I think there's confusion in this form. I think it could be easily kind of cleaned up. Even if you kept a multi-step process, it could be cleaned up a bit where I can easily go back and forth through the steps, where I easily can fill in the information or make changes as I go. And I think that when I clicked give, I thought I was going to go to the payment step. But maybe that's even after that. I'm not sure. Um, I don't know that I'd want to have Facebook involved in my giving process. So I think there's some opportunities to kind of work on the workflow of the form. And then hopefully after you give, it's being helpful and thankful and all those things after the gift. So I think in general, as with most nonprofits, it's like the donation form doesn't live up to the great things that the nonprofit is doing. Let's go jump to the next example. This is a group called With Our Neighbors, and looks like they're doing family services in Cobb. Now, it looks like we've got a nice big bold donate button that looks a little different than the rest of the navigation. That's great. So I'm going to be able to find this. So I click that, and it comes to a page that says Make an Impact Today. And then I scroll down. Okay, looks like we have like a little widget or something, a little widget maybe from the web host, maybe. Here's what I'm looking at. If I scroll back up, what I was kind of expecting here is a little more information about why I should give and what type of impact that I would make. Because I'm sure this nonprofit does great work. That could be brought into the page here so that I can kind of associate that as I'm about to choose my amount and click to give. There's a lot here about tax deductions. That is never a motivator for donors, especially now with some of the current tax laws and kind of big standard deductions and such. So it's really about what impact am I going to make with that donation. The widget, I assume, is going to lead me somewhere else. I'm going to choose $25, click donate. And this pulls me into what looks like I've seen this before. It looks like kind of a Squarespace, kind of for-profit shopping cart type checkout. So we lost the nonprofit here. We've lost the branding, the messaging into the checkout process. So I may lose a little bit of that compellingness to give. I'm sure this is mobile friendly. It's got some trustworthy elements that it does say secure checkout. I like that. Not really any urgency. The form is fairly concise, but it's definitely missing those nonprofit kind of maximizing elements like uh, easily seeing suggested giving levels that are more button-like. Um, checkbox to cover the fees. Um, let's see if it's got, let me put my email address in here. It's got card, um, Klarna, it's kind of pay later type stuff. That's kind of new. Not a lot of people are using that yet. You might have some additional payment methods that you might want to drop in here. So the form itself is fairly concise. It's fairly clear in what you're filling in. I think it's just missing a lot of the nonprofit specific type stuff. You'll get a little bit of friction with this final step, it says review and confirm. You typically don't want to, you don't need a final kind of let me review every single thing that I'm entering before I submit a donation. It's not really like an order like on Amazon where you need to double check that shipping date and little things like that. You actually can get some abandonment at that step. So that's something that you might look at. I typically wouldn't recommend a for-profit shopping cart checkout for a nonprofit. So I think you've got some good things going on here as far as, cons concise, fairly clear form, but you're missing those nonprofit type stuff that's going to compel people to give. Our last example, and again, thank you to everybody for being brave enough to kind of put your sites out here. If you happen to be here, put yourself in the chat. If you happen to show up, put yourself in the chat, share your website, talk about what you do. We'll kind of use this as a networking opportunity here in Cobb for you to reach out to other Cobb nonprofits. So this is the Cobb County branch of the NAACP. Great organization working to make a more equitable county here for everybody. And findability was certainly something with this one too. So um, wasn't exactly apparent in the top navigation, if I could give. Scroll down, and then we found it in the footer. I do like that it's on every page. So this footer is actually across the site. So I do like that it's available everywhere. It's on every page, but you have an opportunity to not only have it in the footer, but bring it up top. Bring it up top as well. And I think that's probably represented by this Cash App navigation item because that is where the donation form goes. It just goes to a Cash App QR code. So I think what I would do, if nothing else, I would change the how this navigation item is labeled. I would label it not Cash App, but donate. I might put a little coloring behind it, make it, use the yellow, maybe make it a little more bold so I can see that, oh, there's the donate button. That's just how I give. And then as far as the process is concerned, I looked up Cash App and they have an install base around 20% in the US. So this is certainly going to be a little limiting. All the kind of best practices I went over, you're losing out on all the stuff, the branding, the maximizing form elements, the all the stuff that's nonprofit specific that asks them to give and compels them to give and gives them a great thank you experience and helpfulness and all that. What you're really doing here is you're just taking money. So it's transactional. And since it's just Cash App, uh, you're limiting that to donors who have it or will go and get it. If you decide that you just want to stay in a transactional phase, then I would add PayPal, some other ones that, so that you can increase your install base and hopefully get more people, at least the ability to give. So, again, really appreciate you guys. I think there's some opportunities for each nonprofit here to improve. When you improve, you're going to make more money. That's absolutely what we're talking about here. So, um, appreciate you guys letting me do that live review. Um, you're going to walk away with the checklist. So, Caitlin, if you can put the link in the chat for the our donation page audit checklist. Feel free to run through that, grade yourself, see what you're missing. If want me to kind of help you grade yourself, I'm happy to do that. We are a Cobb Collaborative member, and anybody who is a Cobb Collaborative member can get a free online fundraising audit from me. We've had one nonprofit take advantage of this so far, and I had a great time doing it. So I'm happy to evaluate your site, evaluate your donation page, give you some recommendations so we can chat and, just see how you're doing. And that's absolutely free. We do have another benefit for Cobb Collaborative members with our software that's completely separate from that. That's a 15% discount. But we love supporting the Cobb Collaborative. We've been members for many years, and I would certainly, if there's nonprofits that are in Cobb and listening, I hope that you'll sign up with them because it's just a great resource for networking and support and webinars like this. So make sure that you're taking advantage of that. All right. Hopefully we got enough time here to do some Q&A. Caitlin, if anybody's dropped any questions in the chat or maybe prior to registration, fire away. I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, thanks so much. I mean, I feel like we could do a whole day workshop on this
Uh,
and truly dive in. And
let's do it. Let's do
yeah,
it.
I
We
was
we
gonna
could certainly do that. Yeah.
make
Yeah,
it
I love
happen. Yes. So stay tuned, you guys.
it.
In the chat, we've got a lot of people sharing their information. We have a question.
Mhm,
This is All Christians Fellowship International Ministries. We're
mhm.
currently campaigning for a donation to build a hall of worship. Are there places we can publish or advertise our campaign to reach people outside of our social media contacts?
Ooh. And that sounds like a kind of a big capital campaign. I assume we're raising lots of money there. Uh, for capital campaigns, what I have found that first place that you want to look is, kind of go where the money is. So starts with the board and who the board knows. And a lot of times you're reaching out to corporations. Uh, you know, you're trying to get a big corporate sponsorship for that capital campaign. It starts there. You get a commitment from the corporation. Then what I would do is build a donation page that's kind of co-branded with that corporation and ask them to introduce your campaign to their employees and to their customers. So you get kind of a twofold commitment. Maybe they'll write you a check, but then also they will introduce you to a new audience. Social is a great place to do that. And hopefully, you've been doing engagement on social, not just asking for money, but you've been telling stories. You've been, kind of building a community online for people that are interested in the same thing that you are interested in. If you're talking about Christianity and all the ideals and all the things that you believe and the events that you're having and all that. If you're doing all that on social, over time, when you get to the point where you're asking for money, they'll be a little more engaged and more primed to give you that. Hopefully, on your website, you are also um, asking for emails and building up a newsletter audience. And then hopefully sending out a regular newsletter once a month, at least on email, where you talk about all the same things that I just mentioned. And then that is an audience that you go back to and you ask to give. So it's really you're working through who you know, who do they know, and you're looking for channels that are in person. So those are personal conversations with major donors and corporations that the board knows. It's online through social, it's over email, and then if you have a database of people, I would also, for a big capital campaign, I'd also be thinking about direct mail piece as well. You want to be multi-channel. All those channels should drive people back into your donation page. That page should reflect that you're having a capital campaign, how much you want to raise, why they should give, all the compelling stuff that we talked about before. So think of all the places that you have connections and how you can leverage those connections. Hopefully that makes sense.
All right. I know we're right at 4 o'clock. If anyone has any burning questions, if you want to pop those in the chat, we'll make sure we can follow up with you. And after this, we will be sending everyone a recording of the presentation as well as those links to the audit or the AI tool and the donation checklist. So you'll be receiving all those via email. And we just really appreciate Ronald for taking time to really dive into something so important, especially as times are kind of uncertain and things are changing with funding and stuff. So how are we really utilizing the resources available to help make that happen? So there is a question in here. Is there a good donation website to help facilitate donations, or should it be built on our webpage? If we have time, we can answer that. But again, we'll make sure to follow up with all of these questions. Feel free to respond to the email with questions, and we will make sure all this gets relayed.
Yeah, I mean, I just really appreciate being here. The question about a platform, of course, I'm biased. I'm going to say for a good cause. But there's lots of platforms on the market, and I'm happy to chat with you. And if we're not a good fit, I certainly can find one for you. So, really appreciate the being here, Caitlin. Thanks for having us. I hope we get to do more of these. And yeah, if there's good feedback on this, let's do a half day workshop. Let's do
Yeah, stay tuned, everyone.
it.
Well, thanks so much, guys. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. We'll follow up with some of those in-person opportunities to connect and network as well in the chat. So it doesn't end here. We'll keep it going, but just thanks everyone for your participation. And thank you, Ronald, again for your insight.
Thank you. We'll see you guys
All
later.
right, take care.